My name is Professor Rick Epps, and I am your professor for this summer session of Global Studies 102, which is called Global Issues. And I want to welcome you first to the summer session, tell you I'm glad that you're here. Um, I know a lot of you probably wish you were doing other things over the summer, but it's also very cool to be able to knock out a class or two to be able to get ahead of things for the school year. So I'm glad that you're here. If you're from another campus, welcome. I'm glad to have you here as well. Uh, and I want to tell you today, this is just kind of a welcome I'm going to give you now, and then I'll tell you a little more about the class. And then in the next video, which will be an orientation video, I will give you more structure about the class. So first of all, again, I just want to welcome you, tell you that, the most important thing about this class you have to understand is 6 weeks goes really, really fast. So that requires a couple of things on your part. One is discipline, right? Because the class is asynchronous, which means that it's online and it's asynchronous, means you work at your own pace and you work when you want. But that's, while that sounds like great, I found that people who tend to procrastinate a little bit and then they get behind and then they find themselves in trouble. So please don't put yourself in that position. Try to stay on top of things. I think you'll find the class has it's about quality of work and not quantity of work. So I try to recognize you got 6 weeks and then put to give you a realistic amount of work to do during that 6 weeks. But what you turn into me, I want you to make sure it's really good. Okay, that's what I ask of you. Um, and so in that, the things that are important to me in this is that one, that you learn to communicate with me. So if there's some reason things are going on in your life or something's happening and that prevents you from getting stuff done, do not wait to the last minute to tell me. Make sure you tell me as early as possible so I can help. I care a lot about my students, but you have to help me help you. So the more you can help me, the better off things will be for you and for me. Okay? Okay. Yikes. They're washing the windows on the side of my house. Um, so the other thing about this class is that again, so the class is called Global Studies, but within Global Studies, um, you will find that there are many different issues. So I do the specialization class that focuses on different issues. So we'll be talking about a lot of things over the next 6 weeks. And usually we start off with, like, we'll talk, get an overview of kind of what global issues is. And when we talk about global issues, there are lots of things that happen around the world that we have to be able to look at and deal with. And so we're going to look at things around the world. We'll take 4 or 5 different key things and we'll explore them and look at why they're important, how they affect us in the United States, but also how they affect the global community at large. Uh, and hopefully through this, you'll get a wide range of exposure. I also teach in political science, which is my primary area as well. So I do both. I'm the senior faculty in political science, and we do international relations, which is a component of global studies. We do comparative politics, which is also a part of global studies. But global studies encompasses all of these political science, sociology, history, geography, in the environment, everything that has to do about all those different aspects. All are part of the discussion of global studies. So we start off with our introduction. I give you sort of a general overview. Then we'll talk about things like the issue of like war and peace and security. What causes war? What are the sort of backdrop behind the various issues that we face with leading us to violence, like what's going on in Ukraine right now with Russia, right? Uh, and being able to sort of say, well, why do these things happen? Are there things that we can look at that are about our human nature that dictate why we're always seem to be in a state of war? That even in the modern age, that we can't work our way out of always being at war with one another, but also what aspects it takes to learn how to have peaceful resolution and have peaceful coexistence. We'll also look at economics and globalization, and how the world is becoming much smaller and smaller every day, particularly through not just travel and the ability to get from one place to another relatively quickly, but also through communication. I don't know if you realize this, a little over 20 years ago, if you wanted to talk to someone in Europe, it would cost you a small fortune until they got the internet. And then all of a sudden the world got smaller because we instantly could be able to hear or see what's going on in other parts of the world very quickly. And that wasn't the case before. So as the world gets smaller, that means we have this sort of push toward how do we get along together, right? It's great when you have one roommate sometimes, if they're neat and clean or whatever you like in your roommate. It's tough when you get 4 or 5 of them and people have to figure out how to coexist. That's kind of how planet Earth is as well. How do we learn to live with each other even if we see the world through different lenses. And then when we talk about economics, it's about who controls the money, right? So that's an important component. Next, we'll look at human rights and deal with the reality of human rights and how, what they are and how they exist or don't exist. We'll look at like countries like like North Korea, for example. Iran just had a big event over the last year that I've been working with on human rights, particularly for women. So we have these struggles in our not just in the United States, but also globally. How do we exist with people who don't think or look like what they think mainstream life should be? So whether it's women rights or rights of people of color or people who are from LGBTQ plus community and transgender and folks who live their comfortable lifestyle in their way. How do we learn to realize that it's not just about us and still see those individuals as human beings? And so that's all. It sounds simple to say, but sometimes it's always a much more complex idea than that. And then the next thing we'll look at, and lastly, we'll be looking at sort of a global health and the issues that surrounding where we are with regard to global health in this world today. We just came through our own pandemic with COVID-19 and the impact of how something that started in China impacted the entire world and killed millions of people. And the idea of what does the future look like? What do the future threats look like and issues regarding global health and water sanitation? For example, the world is running out of what we call potable water. That means clean water, clean drinking water. And so and it's not that we're necessarily running out of it. The fact is that we have to figure out better technology to sanitize it so you and everyone can drink it. And it sounds easy to say, but sometimes the money dictates the technology, how technology is driven. So when we get into the economics, you'll find that each aspect of what we look at today, over the next 6 weeks, I should say, all comes together under this one umbrella. So with that, I look forward to sharing this all with you, and I hope you have a great summer exploring this class, and then also hope we get some fun time to go have some fun too. I'd like to leave fun for you to do stuff, so don't feel like it's not just about this class. You also should go have some fun too. All right, I'll see you all in the next clip in the orientation.